All right, everybody, welcome back to Jesse's Performance. Tonight, I will be working on the NASROD. It is getting close to time where I need to have this car together. I'm way behind schedule, like at least 2 weeks behind schedule. Being injured has slowed me down so much in every form and fashion, but I'm not gonna let it keep me down, so I'm gonna pick myself up and get this work done. So tonight what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this old firewall out of here. I love this firewall. I hand painted it. Not a lot of people realize it's a Texas flag until like they've seen the car a lot. I don't know if I'm going to reuse it because it isn't going to fit the way I need it to. So I might just hang it on the wall, or I might autograph it and give it to a fan. I don't know yet. But what I do know is that it is not going to work in this car anymore, so I need to get that sumbitch out of here. I'm going to do some recording. I'm going to have it on regular time. That way if something funny happens, or if there might be a lot of cursing. Hell, who knows? I'm here by myself tonight, so it may get crazy. All right, now that I got the firewall out of here, man, I haven't seen this car this far apart in a long time here. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start cutting this old cage out of here. I'm trying to decide if I wanna keep it. It fits really well up into this dash bar. So I don't know if maybe I cut it and bend the dash bar in and do something different there, or yeah, I just don't know yet. I think that would be the best thing to do, and just have a plug on the end. These leg bars have got to go. They ended up being very problematic getting in and out of this thing, especially these door bar attachments. So those are definitely going to go. It's just in what capacity, and how I'm going to do it differently, because I'm going to extend all the way out to the bell housing. I think I measured, that's like almost 6 inches. So this firewall's gonna have 6 inches of extension, which means those door bars can come all the way out to here. You know what I'm saying? Or not the door bars, but the front kickers. These front bars here can go, and the dash bar can go out a ways. I think I'm gonna mount the dash directly to here. That'll give me about 2 more inches of clearance. I mean, basically everything I'm doing to this thing is to make more room for me as the driver. Now this is all chrome moly. I have Dockle R8 for it. It's just, this is a really good fitting cage. Everything's great to here. When we built this, I didn't really care about getting in and out of it that much. I didn't think I was going to drive it that much, honestly. And I've driven the crap out of this thing. So I know I want some bars to come through here to make a transmission tunnel out of, and to bring down to make like almost like a center console with a dash here, because I think I'm going to put like a 9-inch Alpine monitor there so I can have a good backup camera. It's little things like that, you know, that I would love to have. We kind of had a backup camera up here. The thing was too small, too hard to see, and it vibrated like hell, so it didn't work. It just didn't work for what we were doing. Obviously, I got a really blank canvas now. I get to do whatever I want. All I got is to connect these to these. And however I do that, however I want to do that is all up to me. I can do whatever I want. Obviously, it's all going to be round tubing, Dockel R8, 1 5/8, 083 wall. I basically build all of my stuff like a drag car, like a drag chassis. And the reason I do that is because I just like the way they are, the way they work, the strength, the flexibility, the durability. A lot of guys would use the 1 3/4 DOM, 120 wall. Makes it really heavy, needs a lot more horsepower to be fast. I like being light, nimble, and I like the flex that these materials have, A DOM that thick does not have much flex. Makes everything super, super rigid, which is great until it's not. I like the flex being there because flex keeps it from breaking, keeps it from cracking. The more rigid it is, the more likely it is to crack. The more flexible it is, the longer it'll live, as long as we're not over flexing and fatiguing it. So, yeah, basically these frame rails here, got to connect up there, and those got to connect back here. And then I got to figure out what I'm doing here, because I got a big old gas tank, air compressors, onboard air tank, a bunch of coolers. I think I'm going to put the dry sump back here. We got a lot of stuff going back here to help counter the weight. Obviously, we're moving weight back here by having the transmission here, but this transaxle is a lot lighter than the old 9-inch unit. So I think what we're gaining back here, we lost back here by just having these lighter components. Obviously, once we get closer to mounting things, we'll scale it and make sure that we're as close to 50/50 as we can be. It is an aluminum block, tall deck, LS-based engine that we're putting back in here, but we're not as far behind the wheels. I think we're going to be more front-heavy than we were before, even though the transaxle is in the back. And we're talking about putting the radiator up front. And moving the dry sump out back. Just kind of moving things around, kind of like a normal car would be for maintenance reasons. Obviously we've worked on this car a lot. One of the reasons we went away from the 4-wheel drive stuff is to make it easier to work on, easier to maintain, easier to get to things, easier to get parts, yada, 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 right? And plus we need more angle for drifting, and we need more visibility for drifting, and we need better steering for drifting, as much as we want to. It drifted well before. I've done a lot of things with this car, made it, long ways in a lot of ways, but I want it to be more drift oriented rather than hot rod. So we got the cool factor still of all this really cool parts we're putting on this thing. We got a lot of really cool parts to put on it, but it's got to be more user friendly for us. And this cab, the way it is, a 2-person cab, all short and can't see and can't have room to steer and drive, and made the steering angles really hard. It was a difficult to drive build before, and I'm trying to get away from that. So a lot of ranting there, a lot of rambling, a lot of over explaining, but essentially I think I'm going to keep the cage in here. I'm going to make the cab come off of it, and I'm going to redo this front bar. So I'm probably just going to cut these here and get rid of all that lower stuff and rebuild from there. I think that's what I'm going to do, because that's what I want to do, and we'll see how that all turns out. Okay, so I went ahead and got the rest of the cage out. I determined that was not going to work for this new setup, no problem. And then I trimmed up these floorboards to give us more room. And the tubing is going to hopefully ride right in there and bend around. And I bent this hoop here. Pretty cool piece, like a 180 at 1 5/8 inches. So that's going to be that hoop there. And then the bar is going to come off of here, make this curve, come up this floor rail, and I'm going to build another hoop here for the front of the firewall. It's going to have to be wider, and then this tube will hopefully go up and make a bend and go into that. And that's going to be the base of our floor. Yeah, and I'll get all those measurements so I know right where we're going to be at here. Yeah, it's going to be sweet. I think it's going to be really cool. I'm trying to think here without too many ums. Sorry, Stacie, a lot of ums going on. I might take and sweep up here because I got a hell of a mess going on. But if I can get this tube bent tonight and maybe a couple of these other tubes bent and tacked in here, that's a tall order. I think it's almost midnight already. And I have real long tubes to deal with. But it's okay. I think if I can just get going on this thing, get a place to start, and then I can start connecting. I got a pretty good plan in my head already. I could fucking figure it out here and show you guys everything, but it ain't gonna make sense until I get her done and until it comes together for me. So I did spend a bunch of time and leveled out the subframes front and rear. Use a jack and a bucket and some ratchet straps and all that crap, and an angle finder. Make sure the cab is straight on the drivetrain here, which it is, front and rear, because obviously we don't want to get in the middle of this here and have to shift the tube. So we make sure everything's square. Obviously it's sitting on 2x4s. It's really light now with a cage out of it. Like I can move around by myself, which is cool. But she's all squared up and happy, and I'm going to double check it as I go. But I'm ready to start building some tubes and getting this chassis built, because as soon as I do that, I need to get the solid mount still. Hopefully I can get with somebody on those. It's been a nightmare because of TX2K. Everyone's busy and out and doing their thing. But hopefully I can get somewhere on this thing. Get the solid mounts front and rear. Get that motor out of the NASROD 1.0 chassis transferred over. Start laying things out and see where I'm going to go with this thing, because like I said, I'm like 2 weeks behind, which is a lot for me. Like 2 weeks for me is like 2 months for a normal person. So I'm 2 weeks behind. I got a lot of customer work done this past week. I had like 5 doctor's appointments this past week. Me and Kyle are like working as much as we can, trying to get caught up here. It's just been a lot. So, but yeah, I'm just going to keep cranking and get as far as I can. so I had my first bending mishap with the NASROD 2.0. I had got this couple sticks of material from Spencer, and I didn't even think to measure it. I'm trying to bend inch and 5/8, right, 165, and I didn't realize this was 1.5 inches. So this tube I just bent, you saw me bend, was 1.5 inches. Well, as soon as I got done bending it, I realized that I had a crease. And that usually means that your dies were not tight enough around the tube. And upon measuring it, I realized that it was 1.5 inches. So I went out to my pile that I just got, and I got this 1.5 tube, 083 wall. You know, I'm a big dummy. This stuff literally says on it too what it is. Let me see here. 165, 083. This is Duckle R8. Maybe we can find another marking here. Yeah, there it is. See? Let's see here. I got it from AED, inch 165, or 1625, 083, Duckle tube R8. So, yeah, I guess I will be double checking because I did order some more 1.5 inch tubing, I think. Which means I have I think some 1.25 inch here too that Spencer gave me. So that's pretty cool. You know, a lot of guys will bend every tube out of all the same material, which is great. Stronger, good, way to go. But it looks a lot more detailed when you can use different size tubing in different spots. You can kind of just change it up a little bit. The smaller tube, I don't know if it's not as stronger. I don't know, like in my head, it seems like it would be stronger because there's more material there. So I think it probably is. But yeah, I like the smaller diameter stuff in the not so crucial areas, but you want a tube there anyways. But all the main stuff is gonna be 1.5 inch on this here. All right, so here's where I got tonight. Obviously, I got all this old cage out. I got this rear hoop bent. I got my main hoop bent up here for my transmission. I want to be able to pull this bell housing out with no issues. I think we're going to have that. I bent this outside perimeter bar. That's going to go up to a junction bar, and it's going to, well, it's going to be out here a little bit wider, but out here a little bit wider, and it's going to run directly in line with that frame rail there. I got a whole plan. I got a really good plan together for all this here. It's going to be like double frame rail down the center, like Stacie's drag car, and like the Burn Bird with maybe a couple pipes there. This is going to come around here. There's going to be a small tube here, and then there's going to be another tube off of this frame rail that comes up here. It's going to be a door bar and come around and tie into this rear. It's going to come around to here and jet over that way, and also jet down into the front frame rail. So it's going to be a double frame rail coming forward to this. This one here is going to come from here. It's going to come up and kick. This one here is going to come back and kick up. So it's going to be really cool looking. The headers will come out here, drop down and go through. Then I'll have another bar that comes from here. It'll come up to here, and I'll tie into the front of this here. And that'll really help stabilize all of this really nicely. And then I'm going to build a plate that goes in here that'll completely fill this in. And then the motor plate will also tie into that and make this not be able to move at all, because it's going to be tied into the motor plate on both sides. So this thing is going to be really rigid. And then I'm going to also do the double frame rail to the rear, where it kicks in to the inside and kicks down to the outside. So I'm really excited. I didn't get super far tonight because I really have to do a lot of thinking when I do this. I think and bend and think and bend and think and bend, and because the last thing I want to do is have something in the way of something else going down the line. So yeah, that's absolutely what I do not want here. So I think the double frame rail up top is going to be really good. I don't know, I might drop it lower than the shifter just to keep it out of the way. I'll get the seat up in there and see before I ever build that one. I'll get the both seats in and then see what that top inner frame rail is going to look like. This one here, because this one here is going to make it or break the room on the interior. This one here is going to go all the way to the perimeter, so it is what it is. But if I don't do that one right, I could really trap myself for space, and I don't want to do that. And then the lower frame rail is going to come up there, and basically all I got to have there is room to get this, 7 inches of drop out of this guy, out of the torque tube, and then run exhaust through there. Because exhaust is going to come down, the exhaust is going to come down the center like before, and then it's going to split out. Split out underneath the diff and come out in front just like it did before with the boom tubes. Maybe we'll get the tires on fire that way. But yeah, that's where we're at. Again, I didn't get nothing done back here, but I got a plan, and a plan is always important. So that's it for me tonight. I'm going to shut everything down. It's 2 o'clock. I'm tired. My back hurts. My legs hurt. Stacie's yelling at me to come inside, so it's time for bed. Good night, y'all. All right, everybody, that's it for tonight's video. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more work on the NASROD. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that stuff. And be sure to check out jessiestore.com for all of our merchandise and parts that are on sale. Thanks again. See you next time.